Right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Prrrr KSS. It's live, it's big, it's big, it's back, and it's live. So yes, agenda don't attend, agenda don't set, and so we are going to do it. We are trying to get guest speakers on so that it becomes easier for us. So yeah, Stana, you are here. Um, I think that we can start off with you. You said that the game will be a tough one for Barcelona and that Kukurella will be key part in this very game. Now, what is your initial thoughts on the game today?
When the game started, I thought Kukurella was giving a bit too much respect to Lamine Yamal in the sense that he wasn't getting tight enough. And so we could see Lamine Yamal getting some passes in behind, those sort of passes that he likes to do. But as the game wore on, Kukurella really got into the game, not just stopping Lamine Yamal, but on the ball, he started to impose himself into the game. I liked his composure on the ball for the Kunde own goal. When he received the ball, he made sure that even though there was a defender in front of him, he made sure the ball came across him, deliberately slotting the ball just in between the defender's legs into a dangerous area in the penalty box, which resulted in their own goal. So Kukurella, I said it time and time again, and he proved it today as well. He's been superb for Chelsea for a while now at left back. His impact on that Chelsea team is a massive one, and he showed it today against Lamine Yamal. It was a very good battle, and he came out on top.
How crucial was Maresca's plan
Yeah,
ahead of this game?
I talked
It felt
about.
like they had prepped this they have been prepping this match already. He knew what to do when they had red card. You could see he was calling players from the bench to warm up because it looks like they have been prepping this all along. But they've been playing the same sort of matches that Barcelona has been playing.
Yes, in terms of Maresca, I mean, he has showed it before that when it comes to a one-off game and he has to go all out and win the game, he always has a plan. He had a plan against Bayern Munich earlier in the season, although it didn't work, but he has shown time and time again that when it comes to the big games, he always has a special plan. And if the plan is even works for a little while, the Chelsea side are able to play against anyone. This Chelsea team with Enzo Maresca as their manager, it's a well-drilled team that when they come face to face or toe to toe with any side, no matter the quality of the opposition, he can set up in a way that they will be able to reduce the quality of the opposition and impose themselves into the game. So in the second half, immediately he took off Malo Gusto, who was on a yellow card. That is fantastic in-game management. He saw that Rashford was coming on in the second half. And so Malo Gusto on a yellow card, why not bring Andre Santos in? And we watched Andre Santos against Burnley. He was so solid defensively playing in the Caicedo role against Burnley. So he comes into the midfield alongside Caicedo, giving solidity to the back line, protection in front of the back line. And so second half, the substitutions he made, it was spot on as well. His in-game management has grown so well for a while now at Chelsea. And so second half, it was just about managing the game. And I thought the red card for Jules Koundé wasn't just about Jules Koundé, Araujo. I think they targeted him. This Araujo has been in high-profile games. We've seen Araujo struggling, and if you cast your mind back to the first yellow card that he got, you could see his body language. He was like, "Oh God, I've gotten a first yellow at this moment. I'm not sure I can carry on this game to the 90th minute on a yellow card." You could see he was struggling even before the first yellow card. And so Kukurella, the way he went into that challenge and got the red card, it was very, very, very careless from Ronaldo Araujo. Very, very careless. Against PSG some a couple of years ago, he made a similar mistake. So this is a guy that in a high line or in a kind of system that Barcelona plays, it really exposes a defender like Ronald Araujo, because he's a physical defender. He doesn't use, or he doesn't have that footballing intelligence that you need for this Barcelona system. And so I thought it would have been favorable for him to rather play Eric Garcia and Kubasi at centre back. I was surprised he played Ronald Araujo, and he paid for it. But aside the red card, I thought Chelsea were in control even before the red card. I mean, they had already scored the first goal
Yes, Tana, wrap
even
up in
before the
few
red card.
seconds. Our guest speaker is live, so wrap up in few seconds for me.
All right. So, I mean, even before the red card, I thought the game was going to be very difficult for Barcelona to get back into the game. And then Ronald Araujo, he just sold out his team. He sold out his team in the first half after going 1-0 down. It would have been a tough mountain to climb anyway in the second half, even at 11v11.
Right. Thank you very much, Stana. That was very insightful. But Akomeah, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's loud and clear.
Right. So before the game, I mean, I was watching and listening to you, and you brought out, I mean, historical context as to why Chelsea has, I mean, the upper hand ahead of this game. But what is your general assessment of the game today?
A very good evening to every single person on the space this evening. First of all, I really think this is the true reflection of the game we all were anticipating for. Just maybe for the scoreline, personally, I thought this was a game that was going to be around maybe 2-1 or 3-1, 3-2 in favor of Chelsea, though. But I think for whatever happened in the game showed us that Chelsea were clear favourites to even extend their lead from 1-0 to 3-0, especially when Ronald Araujo failed to use his head at certain points in time and he got a red card. I think for both teams, they've actually sold a good game to us. Tactically, both coaches tried their best, but I think for Enzo Maresca, he will look at his team and be proud of how far they've come, especially against some of the big teams. You watch the Chelsea team against Paris Saint-Germain and you really understand how they set up against them, how aggressive they were, the level of intensity, the tactical discipline of that side against Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup, then transcends it to the Premier League, and you watch their game against the likes of Liverpool and co. Even against Manchester United, where they lost at Old Trafford, the second half clearly showed you how Chelsea wants to play against big teams. And today was no different. Coming up against a Barcelona side, that I feel they've actually dropped a little bit of their intensity, comparing them to last season, how they were playing here and there, getting in some good results, quality players stepping up, having Yamal step up in some big games, get them good results, which also resulted in him coming second in the recent Ballon d'Or awards. For now, Barcelona might be frustrated at the rate at which things are going for them in games where they look more predictable, that this is how they are going to set up, this is how they are going to play, and makes it quite easy for an opponent to also set up in a way where they can face Barcelona boot for boot. I remember when they played against Real Madrid, I said one thing, that this was a game Real Madrid was going to beat Barcelona because of two things. One, Real Madrid knew how Barcelona were going to set up, but Barcelona did not know how Real Madrid were going to set up. That was one big issue. And number two, I think physically they were fit and they were ready for the game, looking at the injury situation. The same thing happened tonight. And you look at two teams and you believe we all know how Barcelona were going to set up. Even if you are in your house watching football just like that, you understand that this is how Barcelona were going to set up. But the question remains, how was Chelsea going to come out in this game? Were they going to go with Reece James in midfield? Were they going to go with who? How are they going to approach the game in terms of their build-up? Will they go with a 3-2 build-up, or will they go with a 3-1 build-up? All of these things were very important. But one thing I want to say about the Champions League is this is a competition that you can never take its historical analysis away from it. Definitely how it works and how it trends, you can't change it. And that really makes things difficult for opponents, especially when it doesn't go in your favor. And as I said this morning, that there are only 4 teams in the UEFA Champions League that have actually won the UEFA Champions League in a new stadium that have not tasted a Champions League final before. And 2 of them played tonight, Barcelona in 2014-2015, Olympia Stadion in Berlin. You look at Real Madrid in 2017, Real Madrid in 2018, 2017 in Cardiff, 2018 in Kiev, Ukraine. You look at Liverpool in 2019. Then you come and look at Chelsea in 2020-2021 season at the Stadio de Dragao. So this season, we are playing the final at the Puskas Arena. That is a venue that has never hosted a UEFA Champions League final before. This is the group stage of the Champions League. Definitely early days yet. I've seen teams win their group stage games in this new format and fail to make an impression in the next round of the competition. For example, what Liverpool did last season. But whenever it comes to the Champions League, moving according to the line of discussions when it comes to things that can never be explained in terms of new venues, certain games, certain match days. Because I remember Bayern Munich against Chelsea. There was one game that I spoke about, and I said that Bayern Munich is yet to lose a match day 4 game in the Champions League. Or blah, blah. I think no, it was Paris Saint-Germain and somebody else. Yes, I'll remember that. They are yet to lose a match day 4 game, all of those stuff. And definitely, I was watching the game and things were unfolding right before our eyes, because that is how the Champions League works. And there's no way you can change. And 2 of them met tonight in the shape of Chelsea and Barcelona. In other thoughts, this result might mean nothing, especially looking at the table of the UEFA Champions League. Like, I have seen teams play the playoff, qualify to the quarterfinal, semi-final, and go on to play the Champions League final. This doesn't mean anything. Anybody that says that one way or the other, you cannot argue with him.
Our next guest speaker is also here, Fiifi Manfred.
From your end, we can hear.
Fiifi Manfred, if you can hear me, good evening, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation. I'm glad to have you and also have your perspective here on Prrrr KSS. You said that the difference in this particular game would be Hansi Flick's predictability and Maresca's unpredictability. And I mean, it just rolled out like that. And anyone who listened to you just had a clear vision of what the game would be like and how it has been. Tell us about your general, thoughts on the game today.
Thank you very much once again. I said that, and in fact, I think it was something that I was wondering in the lead up to the game. I think it's also something similar that Michael said when it comes to whether the game was going to come down to the predictability of Barcelona and Hansi Flick, and then also the unpredictability of Enzo Maresca. Oh, okay, I think I can hear this thing. The unpredictability of Enzo Maresca. So before the game started, I felt like both managers wanted to play in the same way. So essentially, what Maresca went into the game to do was to do the same thing that Hansi Flick does, but do it with much more intensity, much more aggression, and then be quicker than them. So it was very clear. In fact, when I finished watching Chelsea versus Burnley on Saturday, I was clear in my mind that Chelsea were going to beat Barcelona. Why did I say that? Enzo Maresca has played about 4 big games of this nature. In all of these games that he plays, he uses one distinct tactical linchpin to have a roaming role, and that is Malo Gusto. Everybody knows this. Everybody that has watched Maresca knows this. Why? Because he has said several times that Malo Gusto is tactically probably one of the most intelligent players aside Enzo Fernandez in the Chelsea team. A lot of Chelsea fans do not agree, and I can understand, because Malo Gusto is probably not the most flamboyant guy. He doesn't dribble past 4 or 5 guys, but the tactical, brilliant players are the ones that make a simple decision, work harder, and pop up in zones that the average player will not pop up in. So that is exactly what Malo Gusto has been. Now, he did it against Paris Saint-Germain. He was successful. He came back and did it the very first time against Bayern Munich. He was not successful. I'll mention why he wasn't successful against Bayern. And then he came to do it against Liverpool. He was successful. He has done it tonight. He has been successful. Now, Why wasn't he successful against Bayern Munich? Now that goes back to why I was clear in my mind after Burnley that Chelsea were going to win. What happened against Burnley? Enzo Maresca did not travel to the turf more with one centre back. He did not travel with Wesley Fofana. And why? Because Wesley Fofana had a distinct role to play. Now, if anybody recalls, West was absent in that game against Bayern. Now, again, also against Paris Saint-Germain, West was absent in that game as well. In the game against Liverpool, West was absent. But I'll tell you which defenders were present against Paris Saint-Germain. Now, but that comes also to not just the names, but then the role of Wesley Fofana in the team. Wesley Fofana played as the off-the-ball intensity playmaker in terms of who becomes the leader of Chelsea's press from the back. Because Barca were going to force Chelsea back to pin them, press them with a high line. When people talk about high line, the ideology behind the high line is to pin the opponents back, force them back, be aggressive, and reduce the distances in counter pressing. So you force them and you constrict the pitch and you make it very narrow so that once you lose the ball, you can quickly go aggressive. Usually, the coaches used to say it was 9 seconds, but I think now because of a lot of muscle injuries, coaches now vary between that. Sometimes they can allow it about 15 seconds and the likes. But at the height of Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka football, it was 9 seconds. And Jurgen Klopp's Jurgen pressing, it was that short time to aggressively press and counter press and win the ball back. So against Paris Saint-Germain, whilst Malo Gusto played, there was a certain Levi Cole who was the tactical linchpin in terms of intensity. So constantly, Levi Cole was the one who would go in aggressive and then close in on Ousmane Dembele. He didn't care where Ousmane Dembele would drop to. Now, Levi at the time, remember, he played next to, I think, Tosin at the time. Then against Bayern, Chelsea did not have Levi. They did not have Wesley Fofana. Neither did they have Tosin. Neither did they have what's his name, even Benoit Bediashile. So the game against Bayern was just Tosin Adrebiayo and then Trevor Chalobah. Both of them are reactive center backs. They are not proactive. They are not the most aggressive guys. So Maresca knew that he will play like Barca. Somebody may not be able to predict that. He was unpredictable. But the real detail of winning the game came down to the 4 legs of the tactical tweaks that Maresca used. One, making sure that he has the most aggressive center back on the night. Because you see, anytime Trevor Chalobah plays next to Levi Cole or Wesley Fofana, he is very aggressive. He follows suit. He wins the second balls as well. So the plan was to do that to him. And that was the first thing. And that also allowed Malo Gusto to go inside, because anytime Malo went inside, depending on where the ball was, which zone the ball was in, Wesley Fofana could now do a job on Ferran Torres for him. So that was really excellent. One other thing Maresca did was that Maresca did not play with Moses Caicedo as the number 6. It was Reece James who was the 6. To allow Moise Caicedo to become the off-the-ball ball hunter without the ball. So he became a box-to-box hunter. When Chelsea don't have the ball, he's the one who will go and chase the ball to get it. And he did it in Barca's half. What that did for the game was that it allowed Chelsea to have more men in the middle of the park to win the 50-50 duels. And it also gave Chelsea the ability to go into games knowing that, okay, we will be able to match Barcelona boot for boot. So there were a lot of tweaks. Then that is where Enzo Maresca's unpredictability comes to bear. And I've said several times that if it comes to setting up a team against whoever in any game in recent times, Enzo Maresca is one of the best brains. Yes, people will not accept it. You know, people are in the denial phase. Maresca won the Club World Cup. They still said, oh, it's just the Club World Cup. He may not be good enough. Maresca did the things that he has done. Qualified for the Champions League when Chelsea's back were against the wall. People said, oh, you know what? Maybe they are just not good enough. People should be patient with them. But this guy essentially is just doing a very good job in that regard. And I like the role of Wesley Fofana. Now, of course, I've also mentioned the role of Malo Gusto. One of the reasons why Malo Gusto is special is how hard he works. At halftime, I tweeted that Chelsea won the game. Chelsea were leading at halftime because of hard work. Now, what Malo Gusto did was that anytime Chelsea were building up from the back, he has to go inside. By Barcelona building up from the back, he has to wait. He doesn't have to jump. So the jump is that when he is with Ferran Torres in his own zone, Estevao will go inside to go and press Barcelona inside. Now that will leave Alejandro Baldo free. His job was not to jump quickly on Alejandro Balde. Wait till Alejandro Balde has the ball before you jump. And for me, because Chelsea had closed every central passing lane to Frankie de Jong, the rest was to Alejandro Balde. Again, I need to give a lot of credit to Alejandro Balde because when you look at the game, he was smart. He never ran in a linear form. He constantly ran diagonal. And he was the one that pushed back up the field of play. For me, that was one of the best ways to come at the game, set up and play against Football Club Barcelona. And for me, that is exactly what made a difference. Again, when the starting lineups came, people kept on asking, why is it that Maresca is not playing with a recognized center forward? And the plan was simple. He's playing against Barcelona. Everybody knows that we have our line. So then let's just make sure that we go into the game with 3 runners. And that's exactly what he did with Estevao and the like. So I think it came down to Hansi Flick's predictability of how he was going to play and Enzo Maresca's absolute unpredictability of, although he plays with Gusto, but you don't know who was really going to make a difference in the night.
Right. Thank you very much. But now we are going to the next phase where I mean the someone will say the violence will come in because there are some guys. I mean the guests on the pre-show, the regular guests, the regular pundits, whom I mean just brush Chelsea off. I mean the people in the comment section were just not taking that. And we saw it happen. Zlatan, Prosper Kuzu, the two of you especially on Prrrr over the week just brushed Chelsea off. What went wrong?
I didn't brush Chelsea off. Let's not do that.
You did.
Nobody did that. Go and watch the
You
video again.
did.
I
You were
didn't
so
brush Chelsea
confident.
off.
You were so confident.
I didn't brush
You were
Chelsea
so
off. I made it
confident
clear.
about
I
Barca's
made it
win.
clear. Leonard, I made it clear that Barca Stamford Bridge in their previous 4 meetings had not won a game at Stamford Bridge. I never said Barca were going to win this game. That's not what I said. But I said that Barca is going to end in a 2-2 draw. It didn't happen that way. Chelsea were better on the day. They deserve the credit, no doubt. But I didn't come and say here that I'm brushing Chelsea off and Barca were going to win. I never said that. Don't say I said that Barca were going to win this game. Can I continue?
In your view, what happened? Because what happened? Araujo constantly. I mean, in Champions League games like this, we've
Yeah,
seen
bro.
that
It's
before
the
from
same old story, and it's not surprising to me. Chelsea deserve the credit first off. Maresca has been brilliant, right? He got it right on the day. I think in the first 15 minutes, Barca had the upper hand. Ferran got that chance in the first 5 minutes, should have buried it, couldn't bury it. And then Chelsea began to go into the game. And once they began to, it started with that pass Enzo put in behind the Barca backline, but Joan Garcia came quickly to shoot. And we thank God for Joan Garcia in this game because Chelsea netted about 5 times, about 3 or 4 of them were disallowed. If it was Chesney, God knows how many Barca would have conceded today. I think the truth of the matter is after that pass from Enzo, the back line began to grow weary, and then Chelsea began to know that they could grow into the game. And that was very, very evident. And with time, they began to settle. Estevao was taking a few players here and there. Pedro Neto, a lot of people were questioning why was it that Maresca decided to go with a front three like that, having Neto, having Estevao, and having another PC winger in there. But look, it worked. It completely worked because Araujo and Kubasi, for some minutes, like again I said, from the first 15 minutes, looked like they were coping. But Pedro Neto was stretching the field. He would make those runs where he can stretch the back two to create a lot of space. And then with time, they consider, talk about the first goal, talk about Koundé. You see, Barca have to take a look in the mirror and ask themselves a big question. Laporta and Deco, when they come and tell us that we have enough and we don't need striker, we don't need a centre back, we don't need this, it's rubbish, it's nonsense. From Deco especially. And we know the class finances and all of those things matter. But if you should always find whether you want to find a better way to say it here and there. But for you to come and say that Barca don't need a striker, Barca don't need this, PSG play with a false line, so Barca are fine, there's no problem at the club. That thing is a complete lie. Look at Ferran Torres today. It wasn't just the chance he missed in the first 5 minutes. He was completely off. This is one of the poorest performances I've seen from any Barca attacker this season. That first half from Ferran, that was a disaster. You look at Araujo. You went to complain to the referee. You get your yellow card. You are captain. Somebody will argue, but I mean, with the way it looked, fine. You get your booking. Now you know that you have your booking, and then you go into a challenge like that. And it's not the first time. Against Inter, you saw it when he came off the bench. And the way they defended the final goals in that semi-final away from home. You look at against PSG. You look in this game too. It's not the first time. So, and then I come to Jules Koundé. If he wants to be a fashionista, I'm saying it here. If Koundé wants to do fashion, he should go and do fashion. If he wants to go and do fashion, he should go and do fashion. Football is not fashion. Koundé is playing football like he's not playing. And it's not this game. The whole season. Koundé is playing football like he's not played football before. What kind of performance is this? So you look at Koundé, you look at Araujo, and Christensen, with the injuries and the lack of trust from Hansi Flick, you're asking yourself that if Christensen, who was signed in 2021-2022 season, 2022-2023 season, Barca went on to win the league, keep so many clean sheets with Ter Stegen and go. If Flick doesn't trust Christensen, he can't trust Araujo, or we can't trust Araujo. You look at Inigo Martinez's departure, no replacement. You look at Koundé, he's inconsistent. They must as well just sell the entire back line, except with the exception of Baldi, and replace them again. Because you're back to square one. Because this back line can't go and win the Champions League. They can't. With the kind of football they play, they can't win the Champions League. Araujo can't step up. Koundé can't step up. So it's an amount of problems. Even if Barca didn't have the red card, I still believe that Chelsea were not going to win this game because tactically, Maresca was better. And once Chelsea began to grow into the game, the Barca boys in team, they began to lose it mentally. And that's where the shift happened. So credit to Chelsea. Maresca got it right.
Wow, credit to Chelsea. Maresca got it right. Zlatan. Zlatan. You said Dr. Rashford. You said, are we aware there is Dr. Rashford? The Barca team, or even Chelsea today, I mean, we saw them, from my point of view, I've been watching Chelsea this season, but today in the game, Chelsea looked like they were hungry, like they were the team that just wanted the results more. And that's missed from Ferran Torres in the opening half. How shocking. Zlatan, you have the floor. Hello, Zlatan.
Hello,
Yeah,
please, can you hear me?
yeah,
Please, am I clear
yeah,
here?
clear, yeah, clear.
You guys should forgive me. My voice is a bit shaky because, I've been supporting Barcelona for like 20 years, this, and then the moment I see Barcelona play something like this, it just gets to me, but we are here for the good things. I really like that line that the game will be defined by the unpredictability of Enzo Maresca and also the predictability of Hans-Dieter Flick. And it is very sad when ahead of a game, even the players know what they are going to do. And then there's another manager who had something hidden as a surprise. You will see it on the pitch. We are talking about FC Barcelona today. We can talk about the miss from Ferran Torres. But even aside the miss, Barcelona played zero shot on target. I'm repeating that today. Barcelona played zero shots, total shots. And the embodiment of Hans Dieter Flick is that you press your opponent, you force your opponent to play nonsense in his own half.
Barcelona
You
played
win the
too
ball
short
and
on
then you
targets,
hit him.
though. Barcelona played too short on targets against 6.
Against 6, I'm coming. So what I'm trying to say is that, sorry, thank you for the correction. Barcelona as a team and then the manager on his own. We are talking about Hans Dieter Flick. When he was beating Barcelona, they needed to win the ball 18 times in our own half. Press from the wingers, and then they'll win the ball. 4 corners in the first half. Go and check the corners today. I think Barcelona got 0 corners today. 0 corners against Chelsea. So clearly, high line is very, very useful and then efficient when your front three are pressing. Without the front three, the high line becomes useless because you've exposed your back line to the point that you are now closer to the middle. And then the three parts on the pitch, the defensive area is only governed by your goalkeeper. Your centre backs are closer to the centre. And then you need your forwards to press. And there's Ferran Torres, Lewandowski, Lamine Yamal. I know a lot of people will say I predicted Barcelona to win. But if you watched that video very well, I added that the only way to stop Lamine Yamal, the only way to nullify Lamine is giving him aggressive tackles. Get closer to him. Don't allow him that space to, operate. And Mark Kukurella today, demonstrated that he's one of the best left backs we have in world football.
Not to cut you, where does
Because when you have
not to cut you, but where does the left back conversation around Kukurella and Nuno Mendes leave? Where do we see it going after this stellar performance?
So after this stellar performance, now Nuno Mendes had a successful season, even with the national team. One thing that really helped him is that they were even able to, beat the Spanish national team. Aside that, Marco Corella can boast of what he has also achieved with Chelsea and also the Spanish national team. At the moment, if you are talking about left backs, from the last time we saw a player like Alphonso Davies, how explosive he was under Flick, DeMarco was in around, and then Lamine Yamal just used him anyhow in that Champions League tie in Milan. Aside that, at the moment, these are the two top left back I can talk about. If you look at FC Barcelona today, in terms of interpositional play, players being psychologically on the pitch, players being ready for the game, Barcelona was lost because the Frankie de Jong that we know is a Frankie de Jong who carries the ball along and then run through midfields. But the Frankie de Jong today was just showing us why we call him Mr. Twist and Turn.
Zlatan,
It
he
doesn't
doesn't
mean
show up
Frankie
in
de
big
Jong is a
games.
bad
He
player.
doesn't show up in big games.
So what I want us to understand is that the moment a key player leaves the team struggles. But for Enzo Maresca, he's one of the managers that gradually he's winning big matchups. He's proving to even the gods of coaching that he's better and he can beat them. We saw what he did to Luis Enrique. It is not easy to beat Luis Enrique, and we know who Luis Enrique is. But he was able to, defeat him easily. And today he did it against one of the best coaches from Germany. Globally, he's one of the best because you've seen what he achieved with what Bayern Munich. High profile games, Maresca will show up out of nowhere and then teach you something. And why does it work for him? He has one of the best double pivots in the world at the moment. Because when you have Enzo Fernandez and then Caicedo, these are South Americans. And I'm repeating this. In the Club World Cup final, PSG were averaging 33 seconds to win the ball back after they lost possession. But in that final, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez ensured that within 30 seconds they'll win the ball back. Go and watch Barcelona today. When there is no Pedri in the midfield, when there is not a player who will keep the ball and then starve your opponent off the ball. Because a team like Chelsea, when they don't have the ball, they'll be off shape. But the moment they have the ball, they'll dictate play for you. And I'll always say this, that Barcelona as a team, the last time we had a player who will win the ball, who will position himself well, who will even shield the defense of Gerard Piqué, sometimes Umtiti, sometimes Lenglet, sometimes Mascherano, who will shield these guys upon how poor they were, was Sergio Busquets. You don't need him to be very combative. He can be very, very combative. He's that guy. He locates spaces, attacks spaces, get the ball. He's that DM. Aside him, we are not a club that Mark said. You see, look at Chelsea. They can talk about
Wrap
Caicedo.
up for me.
50-50 or no, but
Wrap up for me. A lot in
you
line.
see.
Wrap up for me.
So what has it? So wrapping up, no, Chelsea as a club, me, I'll always say, look at their history, how they even win their major trophies. You will not tip them. Ahead of this game, I saw a lot of Barca fans being like, you drew against Karabakh. I also drew against Club Brugge. There's no difference. We will beat ourselves. But psychologically, Chelsea fans will testify to the fact that the last time they saw their team play this way was in the Club World Cup final. And today, they replicated why they are the Club World Cup champions. So the mentality for Chelsea ahead of big games is something that we have to, sit in the classroom and then study. Aside that, if you're a Barcelona fan, just put these things in your head that the club is not fully fit and ready at the moment to compete. Why? You have the youngest and also one of the best talents on earth, Lamine Yamal. But nobody can tell me that you are a winger, and then when the defender takes you off the game, you don't even try to blend something in the middle, not even to pull something. Drop middle, help your midfielders. No, not touch line. Whenever he gets the ball, we know Kukurella. He will be on you. He will not allow you to even. He will not give you that space. He holds you know a man and so we are Lionel Messi. No. And we a Barcelona fan. Put these things in your head. The Inigo Martinez departure is affecting us. Whether you like it or not. You blame Hansi Flick today. You blame Deco tomorrow. You blame Laporta today. The next match you'll be playing against a big team. And when you need your club to show up, Gerard Martin will be the one who will be coming from your bench. Gerard Martin and the through bench. So clearly, if a club is going to set their objectives based on the squad they have, as a Barcelona fan, don't think of UEFA Champions League. Simple. Now, City Bayer Leverkusen na question. Look at City's Arsenal, and you ask yourself, what are they missing upon all the quality in there? But look at our team. We have today Paul Kubasi. The first time I've seen a player run with him so bad. Kubasi Hunyonye was today. Pedro Neto. No, the Kubasi Kwembrikasa. Psychologically, tactically, we lost everything. And for Hansi Flick, me, I'll always say this. You want your players to press. And I'll say this. You don't start the high line when your players are not pressing because the high line will be useless. You press so that your opponents won't have that luxury of time
Zlatan,
to come in.
your time
Leonard,
is up.
Tell me a ball. If I go, if I know say my boss day here, if you go show me some way to Camp Nou, I really ball because it is very, very second. Give me 1 minute to make a wrap up, make you go. My last words. These are my last words. Fermin Lopez is very, very good. But go and check the trend, the number of games that we don't see Fermin Lopez.
Masa, your time is up.
And the number of
your
games
time is up.
that we see
Your
Fermin
time
Lopez.
is up.
And then you ask yourself,
Your
why?
time is up.
Why or
Your time is up because then our guest needs to come back. Would have to speak again after. But now let me give the floor to Kwabna. I'll give the floor to 3-4 more people, and then we go back to our guest, and then we take this conversation. I want us to touch on the this conversation isn't something I am really delighted to talk about, but as far as this, match is concerned, we will talk about it because we saw a brilliant display from Estevao today. And prior to this match, there has been conversation about Estevao and Yamal, but we will come to that. We will start off with our speakers on that. But now let me give the floor to Kwabna. Kwabna, you're on the floor.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much. Chelsea team lose well. Uktimi kasabe 1 hour. Kasanum emba. The thing we say from the start, as Prosper talk, Barca started the game very well in the first 15 minutes, pressing Chelsea very well, and even in the midfield line, if you notice very well in the game, Reece James was the weak point a bit because he wasn't able to run very well during the first 15 minutes. That was why in the second half, Maresca had to do this change. Unfortunately, Gusto had a yellow card. So he had to just substitute Gusto for Andrew Santos, for Santos to play the midfield, for Reece James to go back to his right back. And that was a good substitution. So later in the game, you could see clearly that Chelsea played very well. They didn't allow Barca to possess the ball very well because if they did that, that is when Barca would disturb you a lot. And they made sure Barca didn't get hold of the ball very well. Good display too from Caicedo, who was able to tackle, time his run very well, and that was brilliant from him. There was one player that I was kind of impressed with his game today. People might disagree with me, but I liked Garnacho a bit today. He was able to hold off the ball very well. The Garnacho previously, when he started the games for Chelsea this season, he wasn't very strong. Whenever he gets the ball, that is when opponents are able to get the ball from him very easily. But today, at least, he was able to hold the ball very well, and that was brilliant for him because this is a Garnacho we know when he was at Manchester United, and that was brilliant for him. So for that whole Chelsea squad played very well. I was so impressed with everything. Maresca, top notch. He did very well from how he made the game make Barcelona become very confused. And about Kukurella, I've always said he's the best left back in the world. he's the best left back in the world because he's one intelligent player when he's able to defend, he's able
Hey,
to
man,
go
for
forward.
what sound starts here? With the cost pass.
He's the best. He's able to go forward. He's able to track back, able to defend very well. And that is what a left back is supposed to do. He shows up during big games. And that's what Kukurella does. Chelsea is one
Well,
team that
wrap up.
whenever they are okay, Chelsea is one team that when you are going to play this kind of games and you don't really call just be like, oh no, Chelsea is not going to play very well. That's when they show up, and that's brilliant from them. So Charlie, kudos to Chelsea, and for the Barca fans, it's normal.
Right. I'll be giving a minute, and then we go back to the conversation of Yamal and Estevao. But now, Abeku, Billy, you have the floor.
Good evening, guys. Charlie, I hope so everyone be cool. Charlie, I think this is a game that we all has been anticipating for a while. This Barcelona Chelsea game. But to me, I think on the night we have to applaud Enzo Maresca, especially when it comes to big games. Tonight he looked very tactically upright with every single decision that he made, especially when he was supposed to put Rhys James and Moises Caicedo as a pivot to make sure that the midfield will have to battle up with the midfield of Barcelona physically, because today Chelsea had to battle out with Barcelona physical grounds on those duels of winning the ball. And when you have the likes of Moses Caicedo and with James in midfield, that means it gives that room for Enzo Fernandez to be giving out the perfect role that he's supposed to give to replace Kopama in the setup. I think that was brilliant. When it was much needed that he's supposed to put Rhys James back to the right back when Barcelona had to come into the game with Marcus Rashford coming in as a weapon. I think it was also another brilliant idea to put on. To me, let's go by fact. Nekre. It looks like Barcelona fans don't want to just take this, but Hansi Flick has been very, very, very indecisive in putting Araujo in big games. It's entirely wrong that I think Hansi Flick needs to be very, very cautious about it. It's been sequential in games that, in terms of big games, Araujo has been showing persistent mistakes and showing that he's not a leader. It's been clear that Inigo Martinez's absence is actually affecting the organization of Barcelona defense, especially with the high line. But practically, out of that, I think with the battles that we wanted to see in terms of comparing the Yamal and Estevao thing, I think, yeah, Yamal when James is for 7 years, Estevao is a big threat to him. I'm telling you that.
All right. Thank you very much. We pick up the last person for just a minute, and then we'll go on. Nkoswani, you have the floor.
Yeah, I think I actually don't know where Barca fans got their previm from. I got confused when I was looking at how they were so confident that they were going to win this game, because if you actually check the individual players, Chelsea had what it takes to counter what Barca was there to play. Barcelona didn't have any other option to counter what Chelsea would want to play, because Kukurella on a good day can match Lamy. So I was looking at the game, I'm sure game before the game, I was like, I'm seeing so many Barca fans saying, oh, this is what we are going, this is what we're... And I'm not even blaming them. The people that was blaming is the fact that people see Chelsea to be the old Chelsea, Omubebo Buga. But the game has changed. If you watch Chelsea against PSG, how they came up with, nobody even knew how they were going to play the game. And then they came up and then played a very fantastic game, and then they won it. It's an enmity game. No, the scoreline, to me, to be honest, is not even surprising. I actually predicted 5-1. But when I was watching the game, my confusion was, where will Barcelona get that one from? It wasn't even about the Chelsea 5. Where Barcelona was going to get that one from was the biggest problem. Because watching Caicedo, my second half, when Santos was coming in, I knew it was a game over. Because that Santos and then Caicedo midfield is one of the best we can watch right now in the world. But they are not getting the chance to play because Enzo is also very competitive. Yeah, Osha Santos, if you watch Santos, last season, for example, PSG's nightmare was that game against, how do you call it? Oh, Santos, maybe a Santos call only. That was one of their biggest nightmare in midfield. Strasbourg League One. Yes, Strasbourg League One last season.
Now in the
And
world,
Ocean Club World Cup final. No, right now, look what they say. Europe. They share two center midfield pairing. It should be one of the best as we speak right now. So this scoreline, it be normal. And your Barca fans, I share you because I don't know, maybe they were expecting a miracle. But what happened today? I didn't see any way out of this. And then Ibimo way wasn't available. Pedri wasn't. Chelsea is without their star man. Chelsea is without their star man. They started the lineup with players I didn't expect, João Pedro and all that. They were all on the bench. So even if you look at the game, there's a giddy in the course, so Obinfa bench, and make changes via. Chelsea still had the upper hand. So me watching Barcelona, even what Madrid did to Barcelona, Ocean Madrid team, this season is not the best. Yeah. But what they did to Barcelona, I think this was a fair game. This scoreline actually it's more like it defines the game that we watched today. Barcelona, maybe next 5, 6, 7 seasons they could do better, but now they are what they are.
Next part. All right, thank you very much, Ngozi. But back to the conversation. Let me go back to Akomeah. Where does the Yamal Estevao conversation now get to? Because prior to this game, oh my God, even during the game, Estevao was trending on X, and it's just crazy. But where does this leave Yamal and Estevao debate?
This is an interesting conversation, and then I'll have to take my time so that we can discuss every single aspect of this. For Yamal, I think he has already seen the light. He has already seen the light in the context of playing in big games, deciding in big games, and also appearing on the Ballon d'Or stage as the second best player in the world. And currently, he is the second best player in the world according to Ballon d'Or awards. So for Estevao, there's much more time ahead of him to actually push forward and compete well and get to that particular level. So these are two players that one has already seen it and is already there. And it's all about sustaining it at the top. That is the most difficult part for Lamine Yamal. But for Estevao, he's now pushing towards that particular direction to get to the top and compete. But this is the angle I'm trying to pick it from. You look at Yamal and you look at Estevao, and you realize that this is going to be one of the toughest competitions for Lamine Yamal in the future. There's a reason why I'm saying that. It's not only about the potential that we see around footballers, but the political nature of some of these awards and what it represents. I watched Estevao in Indonesia and the Under-17 World Cup back in 2023. And even within that particular Brazilian setup, Estevao was not the best player. They came to the tournament with players like Dudu and Co, who were top players for that Under-17 Brazilian side before they came to the tournament. That was the same tournament we saw Ethan Nwaneri and Co, Kusanov for Uzbekistan. We saw Sekou Kone for Manchester United. All of these guys came to that particular World Cup. But Estevao literally came into the game most of the times, maybe from 70th minute going 75th, 60th. There were certain games that he was playing 45th minute. It comes from the bench. And gradually his influence was going in that particular tournament, bit after bit. But unfortunately, Brazil could not win that tournament. And there's something about the South American teams whenever they go to these youth tournaments. That is where they announce most of their young talents, especially through performances, to the world. That we have player A, we have player B. After this tournament, watch out for this player in the next edition. Because that particular tournament, there was such a very playing for Argentina. But these are two players that have come to Europe in due time. One is performing, one is at Bayer Leverkusen, decided to choose Manchester City, and things have not been smooth as he has always wanted it. Brazil decides that now, this is our project. We'll push him up. It's Europe versus South America, just like we saw Lionel Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo at some point in time. Brazil believe they've gone long enough that they've not been able to project somebody to come up to win the Ballon d'Or, because that is one particular award that whenever you mention past winners in the past years, you cannot take Brazil out. From Ronaldinho to Ronaldo de Lima, we've seen the likes of Rivaldo at some point in time. We can talk about Kaká winning this particular award. So all of these things play a major role as to who steps up from that country to come and win it. Neymar was unlucky because Neymar played in a certain era where you had Cristiano Ronaldo. Neymar played in a certain era where you had Lionel Messi. In a team where you believe Neymar should have stepped up, there is Lionel Messi who is always at the limelight. Very difficult task. Now, after Ronaldo and Messi, this is a clear opportunity for Brazil to step up with somebody else, bring him in to compete the people in Europe. For Europe, for now, they have Lamine Yamal, but there's still Kylian Mbappe, there's still Harry Kane, there's still the likes of Jude Bellingham. So in Europe, there's a huge contention as to which player we are supposed to push further forward. But for South America, I think for now, specifically with Brazil, there is a consensus that no, we should think about Estevao, his future, try and help him and push him forward and bring him to that particular stage. But this is always going to go down to how he can sustain whatever form that he has picked at Chelsea. I love how Enzo Maresca is handling Estevao. No need to rush him. Certain games you start, certain games you come from the bench. It's important to manage egos at this stage of every single young player's career, especially when he is playing not in his home country. We've seen quality talents come to England, had no friends, decided to stick in rooms, became confused, and at the end of the day, football gave them the worst kind of situations they've ever experienced. I think there was one player that came to Arsenal at that time ago. I think Nelson Oko. He was alone. He said whenever he goes to training, that is where he sees friends. He speaks to them. He laughs. But when he comes home, he is always alone. And these are some of the things that these players that travel far and wide come to Europe, they deal with. But for Estevao, Chelsea have been very calm with his situation, got people around him, monitoring him here and there, trying to guide him to the top. And these are important aspects of how football development should be when it comes to young talents you want to groom. So for Yamal, I agree with wherever he stands, the kind of quality he produced last season. But the main issue now for him is about sustaining it at the top there. But for Estevao, he's gradually going to the top bit by bit. But another thing for him to prove himself that he can compete and compete well is the level of consistency. And it looks like coaches are protecting him, players are protecting him. The protection is rightly clear. It's all about him delivering the results consistently, giving goals, giving assists, having huge influences of goal on games as time goes on. But it's too early to say that Lamine Yamal is here and Estevao is better than him. No, one has seen it before. One is gradually getting there. And there is hope for the one that is getting there that in the near future, per what he is doing, if he's able to be consistent and will be able to sustain the momentum, definitely he's going to compete Lamine Yamal and compete well. But for Yamal, it's another day to look at him and begin to question some of the decisions that went into this particular season, especially off the pitch, and some of the things that has been said about him. But he's a young kid. Some of these things will happen. But I pray he sustains to a certain level. We need a huge competition. But if these two kids are able to do something really good, then I think we are going to have a football rivalry that we are really going to enjoy. But there are other people too that can come into these discussions about the Ballon d'Or here and there and all of those things, because there's still Kylian Mbappe, there's still Michael Olise, there's still Harry Kane, there's still Jude Bellingham. All of these guys are there. Players are performing well season after. There's still Pedro is even injured. But you look at certain players that are coming in this season getting results. I think it's going to be a huge competition. If you are going to say that by next season, Estevao is going to be a Ballon d'Or winner, there's a long time ahead of us. There are a lot of months ahead of us. And the World Cup is actually going to take a defining factor in taking such decisions. Let's not forget, Brazil is there, Estevao will be there. France is there, Mbappe is there. Harry Kane is there, England is there, Yamal is there, Spain is there, which is very dependent on whatever that is going to happen at the World Cup, how these players are going to step up. But these are two different players who are achieving two different things altogether. And I think we should give enough respect for whatever Lamine Yamal did last season. It's not easy to have an 18-year-old come second when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. The only young player to have gone to that stage to even win it. There are two players you can talk about, Michael Owen and Ronaldo de Lima. These were guys that were not even teenagers. As at that time, they needed to outperform their levels to get there. But for Yamal to get there, compete and compete well, I think that is a standard. But how to sustain it? But for whatever Estevao is doing, I can only wish him the best. Solid potential. He only needs to be focused, consistent, and let's see how he competes.
Right, thank you very much. Let me go on to Fiifi. Now, Fiifi, Estevao, his ceiling, his potential. I mean, is it close that he will be there
in few times to come when we talk about Mbappe, Haaland. I mean, we can also bring him there. Is he ready for that for that step?
Well, I think that I've said in this last few years when this whole Chelsea project began that the best manager to manage what Chelsea are trying to do is Enzo Maresca. I mean, a lot of people did not understand. I remember at the time when Chelsea were looking for a manager, the likes of Luis Enrique and the likes had come. Chelsea had turned them down. You see, it's different to be a big tactical brain, and it's different to have patience for world beaters in terms of potential like Estevao Willian. And I think that he wouldn't get a better manager. See, so when Estevao used to play for Palmeiras, I am somebody who doesn't get sold on best player conversations early. I mean, usually I talk about players that people will not talk about. Like when I started talking about Bediashile. When people start talking about Estevao, I'll see it and I'll roll my eyes and I'll say, see, take your time. When it was even same with Lamine Yamal, it took me a while to really accept that, okay, Lamine is actually special. So I decided to follow Estevao when he was at Palmeiras. And it led me to uncover who Abel Ferreira is, who is the coach of Palmeiras currently. And he's the one that brought Estevao to the limelight. Honestly, he has been described as one of the best young player management in the whole of South America. He's Portuguese and he is brilliant at it. Now, Estevao looked to have gotten the very good basics from Abel Ferreira. And he has now moved to England to go under Enzo Maresca. Now, I'll tell you why Enzo Maresca is different from everybody. Maresca will not care, even if Chelsea fans are angry at him, that he should start Estevao Willian. He will not. He will constantly start Pedro Neto and then give Estevao, sprinkle him like salt slowly. Again, if you like and you can get a full footage of the game, go and watch the full game. When Enzo Maresca took off Estevao Willian, the whole of Stamford Bridge stood up and applauded the young man. Maresca did not even hug him. He just gave him a handshake, tapped him at the back, and then rode him on. Why? We have seen Brazilian players, South American players, special players literally go from the very top to the ground. I don't think Ronaldinho Gaucho did not have better talent than Estevao. I don't think that Estevao has better take-ons than Neymar da Silva. I don't think so. I don't think that even the last Brazilian that won the Ballon d'Or, which is Ricardo Kaká, Estevao was close in terms of tight space control and the number of goals that he scored from midfield in that AC Milan team. He is not. He has the potential. And trust me, when you come to Asqua in Kumasi, when you go to number 3 in Takrade, when you go to Medina Bokobi in Accra, you will find these talents. The difference in this talent is how you manage these talents. And for me, that is where the difference, whether Estevao will get to the top, whether he won the Ballon d'Or, whether he will be whatever, it's about the management. I like what Chelsea did. In fact, when you read the extensive transfer report of why Chelsea were keen on bringing Joao Pedro, were keen on allowing Thiago Silva's family to stay in England, it was for constantly Thiago Silva to come back to mentor those Chelsea boys, those Brazilian boys, and say, you know what, you need to do this. Andre Santos speaks about it extensively. He said that when he came to England and he went to Thiago Silva's home, he saw that Thiago Silva was eating different than the food that he was eating. Why? Because Thiago had employed a chef. When these guys come to Europe, they don't behave like the Europeans because they have a lot of money and then they're exposed to fame. They tend to do things in ways that can bring them down easily. But Thiago Silva was able to play football for about 38 years in Europe. Why? He took care of himself. Andre Santos said immediately he left Thiago Silva's home, he went home to buy all the equipment that Thiago Silva had, employed a personal physiotherapist. He decided not to buy the regular watches that every young boy was buying when they make 200,000, 500,000, 150,000 pounds a week, because he needed to understand that he has to play long enough to get into the conversation. Now, Thiago Silva did that job on Estevao. In fact, Chelsea extensively put Thiago Silva to convince Hendrik Ramirez to come to Chelsea before even Estevao. So they started talking to Hendrik, but Hendrik decided to go to Real Madrid. The rest is history as it stands now. You can't close the door on Hendrik. It will be good. But again, when they convinced Estevao, Estevao decided to come. One of the reasons why Estevao came was because Chelsea had a grand plan for him. One, also the fact that Chelsea were big on letting the UK home office understand that without Estevao's family, his father who is a pastor, his mother who is also worked in church for the whole time, and his kid sister. In fact, the big problem was his kid sister because she was in school in Brazil. Until all of the three people can join Estevao, they were not going to let the boy come. They made huge case to the UK Home Security to get Estevao to come. Why am I saying all this? Now, no matter what you do, the environment with which you come from is a huge determinant of how far you can go. Yes, there are outliers of people who have come from nothing and have pushed their way through. But when you come from a much more stable place of people who will guide you and say, you know what, you have to go there, you can't go here, and you listen, you can go far. I do not have any problem at all with Lamine Yamal's family and what they do with Lamine Yamal. Do you know why? Because Lamine obviously comes from a broken African home where his father, a Moroccan, his mother, a Guinean, correct me if I'm wrong, have moved to Spain, and then their son has become the one that's making the family successful. It is difficult to control somebody like that. But Estevao has been controlled by the club, has been controlled by the family. And for me, what will make Estevao get to the heights that he can get as a player is if he still stays grounded. That is the difference. Because the talent, nobody can deny the talent. But we have seen it. I saw Ronaldinho Gaucho as a young one when I was growing up, come up. He was interested in the fashion, lights, and sounds as a Barcelona player. I saw Neymar da Silva Santos Jr., where he made one wrong decision. Neymar's father made Neymar's footballing career about himself and then the limelight and fame rather than Neymar da Silva. And of course, people argue that there was no way Neymar was going to win the Ballon d'Or when Messi and Ronaldo were there, but then they are away now. Last season, it was Ousmane Dembele. How old is Neymar? He's not 35. They could have still won the Ballon d'Or. But decisions and indecisions have sent Neymar begging Carlo Ancelotti to get a place in the Brazilian national team. So for me, the talent is there. Like Akomeah said, in that World Cup, there were the likes of Claudio Echeverri and the likes. They're all solid South American talent. But how do you manage these guys to get to the top? He has an excellent manager in Enzo Maresca. Now, again, there is another key that will push Estevao to get to the top. Estevao has competition in the two teams that he plays for. One, at Chelsea. He knows that he has been compared to a certain Cole Palmer, who is a darling boy of the English boys. If Cole Palmer comes back, Estevao knows that Cole Palmer can help him get to the top. Cole Palmer knows that Estevao can get him to get to the top. So they will feed off each other. That will push Estevao to get to the top. Now, when he goes to the Brazilian national team, there is Vini Jr., who still thinks that he's the face of Brazil and everything has to go around him. So Vini will force to play football. It will inherently force Estevao to play football, do better, and hope that he can push Brazil to the top. So Estevao has the world at his feet. He has the talent there. He has now a Chelsea team that will win. And again, there was no way in modern day football, when Madrid and Barcelona still exist, that Chelsea were going to get the best South American talent out of South America when Madrid were there, when Barcelona were there. Why? And that is why every day I go back and I ask people that you cannot tell me that that project is a joke. When Chelsea managed to get such a talent from South America, before Chelsea wouldn't have gotten that. And it is down to the excellent management of the club. So if the club is being managed well, if the club is being run well, if they have a good manager, if Estevao himself is playing well, if his family are there and then they look grounded, I mean, at least from where we sit, that's how it looks like. He has the chance to do what he wants to do. See, the bad publicity that was around Lamine Yamal, I don't even subscribe to it because trust me, I mean, everybody has their excesses. Nobody can sit on this space and say that they are holier than thou. Everybody do the things that they do when the doors are closed. But the most important thing is that there are certain things that if your name is whatever and you do certain jobs, you can't put out. It's the reason why if tomorrow you realize that President Mahama is grinding a girl in public, you probably lose respect for him. It's the reason why maybe if you see that, okay, I like Fiifi Manfred, I like how he carries himself, and probably goes on banter on Twitter and insult people, Abua Kwasia, you probably roll your eyes and say, this guy, I can't even. So those are some of the things. Lamine can do what he wants to do. He can go to Ibiza, go to wherever that he wants to go because he makes big bucks, but then manage it. It can't go out. I mean, there are a lot of men who are 25 and are interested in women who are 35. There's nothing wrong with that. That is the kind of woman they want. Not everybody wants a slim woman. Not everybody wants a thick woman. Not everybody wants a bad bitch. Nobody wants a church girl. People have their choices. Pick your choice. But when you pick your poison, manage it so that it doesn't affect your job. That is the most important thing. And for me, I think it will come down to that. If Estevao can get to the top, he has to manage the excesses. And of course, you can't take anything away from Lamine Yamal. I think currently, he is better than Estevao. He has proven to be better than Estevao. He has been on it. He has shown it for a longer time than Estevao. Before people talk about Messi and Ronaldo, you can never talk about Messi and Ronaldo unless you've been doing this for at least 5 years because they did it for decades. I think almost 2 decades or 1.5 decades. They did it for that long. So these boys can't get there until they've done it for 5 years consistently. And that is a hell of a job. To win, come back, win again, go back, win again, fall down, come again. The issues of life. A lot of things can happen. Injuries, a whole lot of things can happen. When you're able to go past all of those hurdles, that's when you can really say that you are linked for the top. But in terms of potential, they are all there. As it stands now, I think Lamine is slightly ahead with respect to what he has been able to achieve in recent times than Estevao Young. But Estevao looks like he has all the attributes, all the instruments, all the needed catalyst to probably usurp Lamine Yamal if Lamine doesn't sit up. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well said. Um, well, but we are still staying on Chelsea though because then that is what this space is almost all about. But Manchester City suffered a defeat. Manchester City suffered a defeat in the hands of Bayer Leverkusen at home by 2 goals to nil. Dortmund also won against Villarreal by 4 goals to nil. Napoli, Conte showed his class against Karabakh, and Newcastle also lost away to Marseille. So these and other results. Juventus also won their game. Galatasaray lost against Union Berlin, Royal Union. And so these were some of the other results in the other Champions League fixtures. But Zlatan, just a minute for you on the. I see that you are eager to speak, so just a
Yeah.
minute, Zlatan.
Yeah, I think before I touch on this, then we go on to the other games that happened today. The Lami Yama Estevao convo. I just wanted to say this. I think Mr. Akomeah and then Fee actually touch on the most important things that we have to, get from the conversation of the two youngsters who are now, hitting the map with football. But for Estevao, for Lami Yamal, he is now the poster boy for Barcelona. We can say this very well that no matter the performance Rafinha put up last year, Barcelona found a way. PR actually works. And also with the Spanish national team, the whole Spain today, they know Lamine Yamal is their poster boy. The Spanish national team has been yearning for someone to be that guy to lead them. Even in the era where they were having one of the most dominant midfielders, the Barca combo in there, the Ramos at the back, they felt like they needed Messi. So I remember back then they had to beg him before he chose to play for Argentina because he's biologically from Argentina. And aside everything, Lamine Yamal today won't have to compete with anyone to have that throne. No matter how Barcelona performs again, whether we win the UCL, no matter the football Rafinha plays, all credit to Lamine Yamal. If everything will go to him. So the moment he adds something simple, 9 goals in La Liga, and then he's second on the Ballon d'Or ranking behind Usman Dembele, you think it is easy? In the La Liga, Rafinha was the best player in La Liga, but still Lamine Yamal found a way to be ahead of Rafinha in all the individual awards. But for the story of Estevao, I really like one of our guys, we talk about. He will have to, learn and also try to connect with Cole Palmer. The English media will never push Estevao ahead of Cole Palmer, and we know this. On any day, if Cole Palmer is available, he's the poster boy of Chelsea. So before you even be up there to compete for individual accolades, individual trophies, you have to be that big guy for your club. You can't just be a subordinate in a club and expect to be the poster boy of the club in terms of winning individual accolades. So me, when I hear Chelsea fans talk about Estevao, even the manager is managing his game playing time. Legends are talking about how good a new talent from South America is now banging in, hitting the ground running in Europe. We are talking about Lamine Yamal, the first teenager in football. We've seen the big guys, but none of them were able to bring a different script to be a teenager, to be ranked in the top 10 consecutive, not even Messi. Owen won the Ballon d'Or when he was younger, but not as a teenager. So what did they make? So if you talk about Lamine Yamal and then Estevao Willian, I don't think Cole Palmer will be banging in 15 goals and 15 assists, and then at the end of the day, the English media will be talking about Ballon d'Or, and then you say Estevao. No. They won't do that. So the pull and the push. He's in one of, the environment is very good with that, Thiago Silva's inclusion, Enzo Maresca being able to manage young talent. The grind will work for him. But unfortunately, I feel the environment in which he finds himself, Chelsea as a club, to push you to win individual awards, it will be very difficult because we're England boy, one, and we know it will happen. Even at Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappe, we know him to be the prince for France. It brought a lot of issues between Griezmann, and today there's no Griezmann. So about that debate, it will be a very big one for world football. But for
Right,
Lamine Yamal, dear Charlie,
right,
the
right.
guy needs to continue and then prove his worth, what he has done from the first and then second season. Now people talk about Lamine, and then we are talking about how he will be able to sustain the level
Yeah,
that he's creating for himself. So I think this is what I will
got
say
that,
about the
got that,
debate of
got that.
Lamine and then Estevao. We can continue.
Right. Thank you very much. There's been guys that they've been, on the request for a while, but we give them minute. We also need to wrap up and end. But then before that, we end. We would take our final or closing remarks from um, our guests. So let me give the floor to Blay. Blay, you have the floor. Just do it in few minutes for us.
I'm actually going to do it in within 1 minute. It's a comment like I want to add it to what everyone said about Kupama and Estevao combination. You see, football is just a football, and whoever shines is the banner now. Estevao is performing. Let's give him a credit. Let's hope he will perform more. Then we push him to Chelsea banner. If Palmer comes, he's the face of Chelsea. Now it's Estevao 10. So let's hope for him to be better. Not just pulling all sorts of comments on that stuff. We
Okay.
know football can change anytime. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I'll go to Barry, but Stana, you have a minute to put it there.
Thank you. Just a minute on Estevao's issue. I mean, they laid out everything. They've touched on basically everything. But I wanted to touch on one thing as well. I saw during the international break, Brazil had a penalty kick, and then Casemiro took the ball and then he gave it to Estevao. I think it's not just about the penalty kick. I think it meant more than that. I think it meant that the Estevao kid, this is someone the Brazilians now, I think rightly so, are trying to move on from Neymar, because they've been trying to rely on Neymar. What is Neymar coming back from injury? Is Neymar going to take us to the World Cup? For me personally, I think Neymar retired in 2022, and everything he has done after that is not really football that Neymar is playing anymore. And
Hey, so you don't see Neymar being added by Ancelotti
I
to the
mean,
squad today?
Neymar since 2022 World Cup, Neymar has been nowhere to be seen. And
So,
I like the boys' mentality so well. I
this
listened
is from
to
a pre fan. They say Neymar has celebrated more birthdays since 2022 than goals scored.
exactly. So let me wrap up in a minute. So I listened to Enzo Maresca talking about Estevao a few weeks ago, and he talked about the fact that the boy is at 18 years old with the kind of performances he's given for Chelsea and the national team. He's the first 18-year-old to score in back-to-back Champions League game in the Champions League. And he talked about his work ethic and his ability and his willingness to learn. So at 18 years old, he's so humble, down to earth, he's willing to learn. And I think this game and his performance today can be a game that we will all look back on in a few years' time, all things being equal. If he's able to reach what we expect him to, we will look back at this game and say this is the game where Estevao arrived in the Champions League. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. I'll take few minutes or a minute from Barry also, and then our guest will wrap up for us. So Barry, you also have the floor. Barry, when you have the floor and then you don't get to say what you want to say, then we move on to the next person. Blay, you had your turn already, so
I just wanted to promote 1 minute of myself. We are all football critics here, so for us to hit our aim of football content creations, we need to follow each other. So you can give me.
Unya advert too. Why advert? I said
right. So
KFC.
that is it. So yeah, we would take one more person, and then we go. Barry, are you there? Barry, are you there? Okay, young peaches. Okay, okay. If not, then Prosper, you have the floor. Then after that, we can go through.
All right. So just to chip in on Estevao and Yamal, right? And Estevao's career. I'm coming career is brilliant what he's doing. The way he's been managed, Fiifi touched on it extensively, provided context to his family, his parents, Christianity. A lot of things affect football, right? But all I have to say is that I think that Barca wouldn't have gone for, but for Xavi, Barca wouldn't have gone for Yamal, or maybe he would have still broken into the team. But the target, if you're a Barca fan, you've been with the team for long, 2022, 2023, you know that Victor Roque and Estevao were the targets. Barca used to call him Messinho or something. I think that's one of his names in Brazil. And for the right wing, before Rafinha and the likes were signed, or after they were signed, there was solid concrete interest. And Estevao has made it clear that he dreams of playing for Barcelona. It's one of the teams he supports, one of his boyhood clubs in terms of his heart and all of that. So yeah, he was a big target by Barca, and then all of a sudden Yamal came up in the same position. And Yamal went on to do great things, winning the Euros, winning the next season, winning the domestic treble, Ballon d'Or, top two, and all of that. So the interest is gone away from Estevao. But you can see the way he's being managed by Maresca. And you see right now, what the problem about all of this is that, to me, is that there's no pressure on Estevao right now. See, we can say all the things we want to say, but no point sorry about drums. Of course, sorry about drums. So good mommy again, or do we about drums? But Lamine, you guys know Lamine. And I said it after the Classical that for how long will you be chat? I think that since then, the club communicated his entourage. There's been a message passed on. It's been better. You see, he's broken away from Nicole, the relationship, the off the pitch issues. But Lamine, just stick to playing football. Stick to playing football. You're 18 years old. You have like in 10 years, you'll be 28, and you could still be now getting to your peak proper. Just stick to playing football. And I think that for Estevao, that's the advantage. If he can just stay away from the off the pitch issues, all of the things you're seeing surrounding Lamine, he could just stick to playing football, follow his coach's instruction. I think that the ceiling there, how far he can go, because Charlie, the best in acceleration. I always tell a lot of people that at the beginning of the season, Lamin's acceleration was crazier than that of last season. But after the injury or the Pugabi, all of those related issues, it looks like right now he can't burst past fullbacks anymore. Anybody who noticed before the classical up until now, Lamin's ability to burst and run into space past fullbacks, he's always going to cut in. He's not going to go on the outside. If he goes on the outside and you're a decent fullback, you stop him. You understand? But Estevao's got that energy. He's got that pace. And so the ceiling there is unstoppable and is remarkable. It's just up to him and his entourage to just manage him. But could he be there where Lamine find himself now in the limelight or at the top, Ballon d'Or top 3 in the next few years? Yes, I think so. The ceiling is really high. And I hope one day he ends up at Barcelona. Bye-bye.
When your papa. Right. I think that I would take the closing remarks from our guest, but I would give Chelsea to Fiifi because we all know Fiifi. But Fiifi, what does this win mean for Chelsea? Because the weekend will see them welcome the Gunners, Arteta's men, who are on fire this season, and it looks like they are going to. I mean, they are on their way to win the league. But what does this win mean for Chelsea? They are also second on the league table. What does this win mean for them?
I think that it's Enzo. I just read Enzo Maresca's post-match presser. He says that he wants the boys to switch off for 48 hours. They should go and enjoy the win, come back on Friday, and then focus on Arsenal. He said he liked the momentum. I think Arsenal will be a different challenge, very, very different. I think Arsenal will be more difficult from a lot of things, a lot of point of views. We'll talk about that later, but then it's going to be a very difficult one. But this gives confidence to Chelsea. This gives the boys confidence that, you know what, even if we go into the Arsenal game and whatever happens, we are confident that we can play against anybody in the world because, of course, we've beaten Barcelona. Yes, it wasn't a perfect Barcelona team, but then, I mean, any Barcelona team is worrying to play against. So I think that it's on the confidence point of view, the psychological point of view. Chelsea gained more than just 3 points, and it built momentum. And mind you, Chelsea are also going into the weekend where they are going to get their star boy in Cole Palmer. So Enzo Maresca has managed to manage the team at a time where Cole Palmer was absent and Levi Cole was also absent. Both players, two of the key main players at Chelsea absent. Cole Palmer is now back in the team. He doesn't have to come and carry the team. He just has to add on. The team is not going to be stressful. So, I mean, the team is not going to be fully dependent on him. He has shared responsibility. Now, almost everybody is scoring. So that's going to be good. It's exciting to see it. I like the fact that they'll be confident. I don't want to predict the Arsenal game right now. I think that's going to be much more difficult. If I get a draw, I'll run away with it.
Hoping for a draw. If you get a draw, well, hopefully it doesn't get that boring to end in a draw, especially when it's goalless. But yeah, let me go to Akomeah on this. He will take Barcelona. Akomeah, I mean, just a point separating the Madrid and then Barcelona in the Spanish league. And Barcelona will be facing Alaves before going on to face, I mean, Atletico Madrid, who has found a form. But what does this mean going into this game? Do you see them winning something, a silverware at the end of this season?
I think for Barcelona, there is always a wake-up call at any moment in time. But for the La Liga, there is not so much problem to think about. At the beginning of the season, I said one thing about them, that they are the team to look out for if you are looking for a team to win the La Liga. And it was based on the fact that this is a team that have kept their coach. This is a team that have played together for quite some time. This is a team that knows the dynamics of the La Liga. And they've won it twice in the last 3 years. Xavi won it, Real Madrid came to win it, then they came back to win it again. So that is the team we are talking about when it comes to the La Liga. No need to panic. I think these results clearly shows the difference between how intense some of these teams, whenever they meet Barcelona, they are going to play. And if this doesn't sound a warning to Hansi Flick about Ronald Araujo about this in this team, then I don't know what else. This should be a big warning to the Barcelona board to think about getting centre backs for this squad. But I think the good news also is Pedri will be back just maybe in 2 weeks' time or maybe a week time. They still have Rafinha who is back. They need to just pick up their pieces, maintain the intensity, and push further forward. For the La Liga, they are still in it. For the Champions League, they will need to outwork themselves to get back into the frame of getting the automatic qualification. If not, they'll have to settle for the playoffs, which also increases the number of games these guys are going to play for this season in every single competition they find themselves in. Tough days for them. I think some of these results looks frustrating. Club Brugge draw, Chelsea 3-0 loss. But I think they'll be happy going into this game to refine or rediscover their form in the next La Liga games.
Right.
Akomeah,
Thank you.
before you go, and then Leonard, sorry to cut you.
Ask Akomeah about Manchester United. Share about them.
No, I'm not coming to ask him about Manchester United. I don't want to ask him about Manchester United. Akomeah and Fiifi, right? Before we go, like Akomeah was talking about Araujo. He says if we don't know what to do with him now, then we don't know what to do. Look, Christensen is the only Champions League winner defender in this squad. The defense is the only Champions League winner in this Barca defense. Some way, somehow, yes, he's always almost sometimes injured. But even when he's fit, Flick never gives him the opportunity. Fiifi, Akomeah, born now around the boy. And what has Christensen done? Wouldn't he put in a better shift than around? But it's serious. Because the only guy in your squad defensively who's won the Champions League, who used to be a Chelsea player, who has been at Chelsea for more than 5 years, you are going to Stamford Bridge and he can't play. You are playing against Inter. You are leading 3-2, 5 minutes to the final, and you are bringing on Lewandowski, while Christensen can come and help you defend for you to qualify to the final.
I think
those things too, we have to put hands to Flick. We need to question Flick and his decisions.
I think even aside the fact that he has won the Champions League, Christensen is the perfect Barcelona centre back for flick ball. He is perfect. He can pass the ball. And you see, when Christensen was at Chelsea and he was younger, Chelsea fans used to complain that he wasn't physical. But Christensen has become very physical these days. He's very physical. In my mind, I feel like Hansi Flick started Araujo because he thought the game was probably going to be physical and he needed some physical guys in the team. But you can still get that in Christensen and get more on the ball. So, I mean, I'm as puzzled as you are. I don't know why he did that, but
Fiifi, going into big games like this, trust you me, coaches normally look at loyalty and how long certain players can influence certain results, especially on big nights. And that will be the first mindset that will come to Hansi Flick. And no, Araujo has been with the club for quite some time. He has played some big games. He has been a captain of the team. So let's just fix him into this game. Just maybe for a big night like this, something could happen. But Barcelona is also another club that is also quite political, especially when you are an academy player that came through the La Masia. Even if they bought you from somewhere, you went through the La Masia before you joined the main senior team. There are certain benefits that you are actually going to enjoy, even when your form is bad. I've seen some Barcelona fans complain about certain players who were not informed during some time ago, but they were La Masia guys. They were playing in and out, where quality players were always on the bench. By time will tell if Hansi Flick will learn something out of this, because Araujo is not a player that can be trusted, to be very honest, especially in big games. And I was even expecting him to move him to the right back position and see if Julius Koundé is not performing. You try him also there. Let's see how things are going to work out. But in the long run, this is a political club. Coaches also love loyalty. And some of these things will happen. And if care is not taken and results doesn't work for you, it becomes a huge problem. Only results can save Hansi Flick with his choices that he's making. But for Christensen, that is a quality centre-back. Quality centre-back with enough experience. He can even play as a proper defensive midfielder and give you the needed shield you need in front of your centre-backs. And I think he goofed today. And for Christensen, Hansi Flick should look at him and give him more opportunities going forward, because the next few games in the Champions League are really going to be crucial. Very crucial.
Right. This today has been very, very beautiful and very educating. Very grateful to Michael, Akomeah, and then Fiifi for honoring our invitation, and you all for joining. But yes, my boss is here. The head is big for a reason. Much thank you to him as well. He would speak, but when this came up, he just was like, "Come on, let's go for it." And
Charlie,
he's here in here, so I will allow him to
today
speak as
United
well.
no play Champions League. So what will he say?
Me, they come. I know they come talk United matter. I just they come thank Fiifi and Akomeah for tapping in to speak to the audience. We really they appreciate it. They go not to but we go tap. I mean, you
Yeah.
people join the space, speak to the audience
Solid,
and
solid,
everything. So
solid,
thank you
solid,
very much.
solid, solid, solid.
And thanks to everyone that joined. Tomorrow, Kitty is coming on Pro. Yes, he will be on. He will be live on Pro. The Arsenal Bayern match. The preview. Yes, the preview is going to be live on YouTube. Kitty is going to sit in, and the Arsenal Chelsea match. He's going to sit in for the preview as well. So tomorrow is packed. The agenda and Kasan will go on tomorrow on the YouTube channel. So we do the tapping. So big shout outs to Leonard for facilitating everything. Charlie, will be out Kodawai. Nyam kupon shiru biya.
Right.
One
Thank you
one
very much.
last thing. I think when Barca got the red card, they remembered Everton.
Charlie, fuck,
Eh,
it's an idea.
steady. But yeah, thank you very much, Akomeah. Very grateful. Always an insightful analysis from him, and I mean, bet you the guys enjoyed it so much. Charlie, thank you to all the speakers. Prosper. Yebeshia or court.
Maybe Shame home Thursday.
But
Tina
yeah, on
de
Thursday.
me
But
call
please
baby
do
and
well
Tina
to follow the Per KSS page. Yes, it would be hosting this space on, I mean, basis where it needs to. So do give it a follow, and all the updates,
Charlie, Basa mami didi
raw
kra
shares of
me.
sport will be
Basa
there.
mami didi
Thank you
kra
very much.
me.
All right. So have a very good night. See you tomorrow. Bayern versus Arsenal, big one. Per,
But when
we are
United go play
out.
them a Champions League game.
That one you feel big Sheldon.
Playoff no
Or
Everton
Charlie,
Arsenal
you
you
play
go
don't go
ready.
mind your
Oh,
business.
Zlatan.
Assemble
Your
you
You feel
team
big
just
Wednesday.
Sheldon.
lost. Your team just lost. You don't
Yeah.
go mind your business. Masa. Jene. Your team lost. We down they talk plenty. And Hansi Flico and Garcia is back and Fermin Lopez. One. That's the argument. I'm sorry. I'm with you.
Right. Okay, so thank you all for following the page. I'm very grateful, but do follow it for all the news, all the sports headlines, and everything sports. My name is Leonard Abekando, and I did this with all of you guys. Grateful for your time and all. See you. We are out.